thing play. Huh. Well, are we live? I think we are, but funny how that went. It didn't go quite like it was supposed to play this little video. So, greetings, everyone. Cindy Drozda here. I'm assuming you can hear me okay, and I am delighted to see so many of my friends here on the U.S. Independence Day, even though it's a holiday and all that. It's a Friday too, and yeah. Oh, this is good. This is good. We've got all kinds of people here. Uh, Jackie from Texas, and yeah, show me where you're from, and let me see that you're here. This is fun. More people from Texas, and Jay, I appreciate this. Be safe with all the fireworks today. Oh, Todd is here. Todd Rains and Temple. Great to see you. You were one of the first ones here. Actually, David Perez was also one of the first ones here, and Lee. Great to have all you here. Oh yes, this is fun stuff. And I am touch screening here and trying to get the hang of all this. Oh, I just saw. Oh, I see touch screen gestures. Yeah. Paul Howard from over on the other side of the ditch. And oh, what else have we got? If I don't put your name on there, it doesn't mean I didn't notice you. It just means there are so many people here. I can't keep track of it all. That's pretty much what it is. Yeah, so oh, Steve is here. Good to see you. And oh, everybody, oh, Don, who I was emailing with earlier. And yeah, anyway, welcome everyone. So great to have you all here, and really, really great to see everybody coming out on the 4th of July. Um, I am flailing here. Oh, there. What do we got? There we are. I want to get rid of this for now. And yeah, so what am I on about today anyway? Um, here's where I am today. Beautiful Erie, Colorado. It's summertime and I love it. And it's going to be a hot day, which I love. I am not the one you will hear bitching about the heat. I love the hot weather. Need to mow my lawn though. And it is a wonderful day to be under a bush in the shade if you're a cat. I guess a person would like this too. So I 2 weeks ago tomorrow, I did a live online session cutting threads with a jig, and I made a couple of boxes. I made and this is not the one, but I made a basic threaded box with a 16 TPI thread. And as you can see here, it is absolutely possible to cut threads in a burl. If you were wondering, let's get a little focus, which you can never chase a thread in. And then the really cool thing I did was I made a nut and bolt box where the nut threads on the end here, and actually the bolt cap comes off and we have a little box here. And oh, I wanted to I love the accuracy of this jig. You can also thread the components on the other ends, because the threads with this jig, you can make it so accurate. So what am I going to do today? Well, I didn't have a chance in the session to make the washers. So I'm going to make a couple of washers today, or at least one washer. And I have here a piece of wood in the chuck that is ready to make washers. So I'm going to do a couple of washers for the nut and bolt box. By the way, if you want to, you can still sign up for the nut and bolt box video, which I just finished. The video is out. You get 6 months to watch it. That's till mid-January of next year. And there are plans for the nut and bolt box and the basic box on my website with the video. So let's start out here with, I'll zoom in a little bit. And don't forget to set it this time. Okay, let's start with these washers. All right. I got the lathe on full speed, and you got a little speed readout there in the upper left corner. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to face off the end of this piece here and not crash into the center of it. And I've got to make a hole the size of my bolt shank in this piece of wood here. I have the piece about the diameter I want, but actually, you know what I ought to do is just clean it up a little bit. True it up, I mean. And we'll go ahead and deburr that corner there. Maybe we could zoom in a tiny bit more, I think. Let's zoom in even more and refocus. When you focus, you got to do something like that or the camera can't figure it out. Oh, and actually, I have a tech break to take here because we have a glitch with that camera's focusing program. I gotta close it and reopen it, and we should be hopefully good now. All right. Well, I love technology, but it doesn't always cooperate the way I wish it would. We need to go over here and over here. And I'm not really liking that focus too much, so we're going to focus again. Now I like that. All right. So where was I? I was trying to figure out what diameter I need for the washer's hole. So I'm going to caliper the bolt shank and then add, let's see, maybe a millimeter or a 32nd of an inch. We're going to be testing this also. And lock the caliper, and we will transfer by scribing with the point of the caliper closest to me and moving the scribe mark over until I get it to where both marks would line up if I touched both points to the wood, which I never will, because the far point, if you touch it to the wood, it's going to possibly, the wood's going up on the other side of center, might throw the caliper at me. All right, so what I need to do is make this parallel opening the size I want. And a lot of different tools I could use for that. But what I'm going to choose to use here is this straight side flat bottom box scraper. 50-degree included angle, and it's a negative rake scraper. So I'm going to, let's get a little light on the subject. I'm going to hold it parallel to the bed of the lathe by moving it until I can see the line of the tool with the line of the bed here. And I'm looking down on it, closing one eye and looking down on it so that I keep it parallel to the bed. And we'll just go in about as far as I need to. I think I need to. And I think I need a little more. So this tool here will do a very, very nice job of making a parallel-sided recess. And the way that it works is that the radius on the edge of the tool rides down the radius on the inside of my recess. And that allows it to follow the wall of the recess. Now let's see how we're doing for size here. Please do ask questions in the chat if you like, and I will answer them to my best. Okay, so that's good. You don't want a washer to be real tight. If you ever buy washers for bolts in the store, they're usually pretty loose. So there we are. And so that ought to be enough depth for my couple of washers. I could sand this inside here if I want to now. But what I'm going to mostly want to do is I'll use another negative rake scraper to just make a little deburring on the corners. And I want this surface here to be nice and flat. So let's check it out over here. It should be nice and flat. That's good. That looks flat to me. Okay, great. Okay, so let's see if we have a couple of questions. I see Frank's got a question about the angle of the scraper, and that goes for all of the negative rake scrapers that I might be using today, which is a whole bunch of them. They have, and here is the one I just used there, a 50-degree included angle, which means I set the platform to a 25-degree angle and I can sharpen either side or both sides. And I will take it right from the grinder to the wood with the sharpening burr up. So if this wasn't flat, what I'd be doing here is just using this negative rake scraper to clean off the surface. And what you'll find with these kind of tools is that they give a really, really clean finish on the end grain, taking light cuts like this. I'm not trying to reduce the diameter, I'm just trying to smooth it out. Nice and flat. Still nice and flat. Okay, so that's one face of the washer here. Oh, this is cool. Andre, great to have you here. Andre is from another world that Todd and I both belong to, called Office Hours. And if you're interested in tech of all kinds, that's the place to go. Maybe Todd will put the link in the chat for you. I don't have it quite prepared up. Yeah, there's Todd. So all right, so let's see what's next. I don't know how thick a washer really ought to be here, but well, I'm thinking, oh, something over 1/8 of an inch would probably work, or maybe 3 millimeters. So let's see if that looks good. I'm going to just mark it off here. That's a little more than 3. That's more like 4. Maybe that'll be good. I'll make it a little big. I can always reduce it. All right. So full speed on the spindle. We will give it a little bit of truing up room. And now I am parting in, and this washer piece is going to fly off. It's got one clean face, which I could now sand, and it's got one face that'll be rough. But I would like to go as straight in as possible in hope that it stays fairly true. And I'm going to use my hand to catch it. Oh, but what if I miss? I think what I'll do is set myself up with a little bit of insurance here. I'll bring up the tailstock so that it just sits in there, and hopefully it'll catch the piece if I miss it. And I didn't miss, but there it is. It caught it for me anyway. So there's one washer, and what I would do now is true up the face again to make the second washer. So I'd like to talk a little bit about some other stuff, like that. Where is it? Nut and bolt box video. I'm going to be giving away 2 passes to watch the video for the next 6 months. And this is going to be toward the end, like in half an hour at the end, toward the end of the stream. So you'll have to be here to get the code to enter so you can win. So stay tuned for that. And let's see here. On July 26th, which is a Saturday, I will be doing another online instructional session, and I'll be doing a gilded sea urchin box. I'm still cooking up the details, and I'm going to be trying to make a little bit different idea for the finial. So we shall see about that. And check this out. I'm going to do some gilding on the sea urchins. These are actual sea urchin shells. And what I've got here is Emma Cook's chameleon. These are flakes and these are pigments. And it doesn't show up as well on camera as it does in real life, but you can kind of see the dichroic effect of these pigments when you change their orientation. And it looks great on a really irregular surface like a sea urchin. Fantastic. All right. Oh, now here's a good idea. Maybe a lock washer. Yeah, why not? That would be fun. Okay, so a split ring lock washer. I would have to somehow figure out how to bend it. So I don't know what. All right, so John is looking for a simple. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. I didn't mean to do that. A simple, safe hollowing setup. And I use the Lyle Jameson system. There are lots of systems out there. So put a note in the comments what your favorite system is and why you like it. And John can figure that out. Trent Bosch is one. Lyle Jameson has one. Steve Sinner has one that's specialized for really deep hollowing. So I do these sessions like right now every other Friday, more or less every other Friday. So my next one is going to be 2 weeks from today. And what you can do if you want to get the direct link for this is subscribe to my newsletter, and you'll get, if you're here, you probably got a notification. You get a notification on my YouTube channel as well. And you can click the QR code there and find my subscribe. Or here is that QR code again, right here. And my friend Todd Raines, who is here on the stream, lurking in the background, making comments, also does a live stream every other Friday on the in between to mine. So usually you can see one of us every Friday at about this time, 1 p.m. Central, noon Mountain, 11 Pacific, 2 Eastern, 1800 UTC for those of you who do that. But Todd's skipping a week, so he'll be back on the 25th. And you'll be able to find me on the 18th, which is 2 weeks from today. Another thing that Todd and I both do is these Zoom sharing sessions. And we do those every few months. The next one is September 12th. And you can get Todd's. Oh, that didn't work. There's where it's supposed to be. Right, Todd's newsletter, and you'll get the notifications for the sharing session and also for his live streams. And you can find mine here also. Love these comments on the stream deck. I'm having fun with that today. New tech, always love that. Okay, so yeah, enough of that stuff. I've got some ideas in here about lock washers. I think I saw that Paul had an idea about it. Cut it and then soak it in water. I was wondering if that would be enough. And I guess you might have to make some kind of a wedge to put between the two. A bandsaw cut through one side of it and then a wedge to hold it open. And so I'll have to try that. Now, a lock washer would be a slightly different configuration to this washer I just made. See, this washer is a flat washer, and if I was making a lock washer, I would have made the diameter or the diameter overall of the outside, I would have made it bigger. Did I see Rick's got a comment here? And he does the same thing, soak it only for 15 minutes. Okay, and microwave. Okay, yeah, that's another way to get it dry if you do it right with the microwave. I've always had sort of uneven luck with microwaving my wood pieces. So so let us know what you do for that. Now, the other thing is what you would call a star lock washer. And that would be basically a washer like this with some cutouts around the edge, like the star would be, or an internal star lock washer with cutouts on the inner diameter. So get ready for that. You got to have a washer under the head and washer under the nut and a lock washer under the head also on top of the flat washer. So, all right, so I have to make a jam chuck now to do the other side of this washer. And I'm not going to use this piece of wood because this is for more washers. I'm going to use this jam chuck. And if you've watched me very much, you know that I'm really big on jam chucks. And there are lots of ways to do a jam chuck. One of my favorite things to do is if I wanted to have one that I could I could remount on the lathe and it would be the same every time. Then I'm going to put it on a face plate. There's a face plate with a piece of wood on it. When I put it back on, every time it's going to be true. Whereas taking a piece in and out of the chuck, like I just did, is going to be less likely to spin true once I get it back on there. So I've got to, this was used for something else in the past. So I've got to clean off what we have here and start over again. You'll notice on this what I've done, because this is a face plate and it's got screws going into the wood. I made a mark here at the depth of the screws so that I won't just be working along and forget how long the screws were and end up hitting one. That would not be good. So what I need to do now is make something to jam on my washer. And what I'm planning to do is jam the inner diameter there, lock the caliper. And I don't want this that I'm cutting to be as deep as the thickness of the washer. So I'm going to try to make it a little bit smaller. And we'll use this 1/8" parting tool, which I could use as a negative rake scraper. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use it as a cutting tool, basically. I need to get that out of the way. By contacting the heel, raising the handle until I get a chip, and then pushing in. Now that I've got a little step there, I can rest my caliper on the step and cut until, and I'm being kind of cautious here, make sure I don't blow past my diameter. I'm going to cut until the caliper drops over the spinning piece just barely, and I'm hoping that'll be great. Okay, when I say great, what I mean is I don't want it to fit quite yet. Some more stuff about jam chucks. Cheryl is wanting to know what's the best and cheapest wood to use for a jam chuck. And I like that question because the cheapest wood is not always any good for a jam chuck. What I want for a jam chuck is I want something that's going to be compressible, which means I want the fibers of the wood to be parallel to the bed of the lathe. So all around the circumference, it compresses evenly. If you have the grain going perpendicular to the lathe, then you've got side grain on one side and the other side, and you've got end grain on the sides in between. It's going to compress really nicely on the side grain and not at all on the end grain. So you're going to have a harder time with a jam chuck if you have the grain perpendicular to the bed. Not that I never do that. So yes, like William says, branchwood is good because it's going to have the grain very consistent all the way around the circumference of your jam chuck. The other thing I'm looking for with a jam chuck is compressibility again. I want it to be something relatively soft and with nice, even, tight grain. I believe this is some variety of mahogany, possibly. Spanish cedar is good. Let's see. Terry's talking about poplar is good, soft maple, pine. If you get a pine that's consistent, knots are no good. And the cheap part If you think, oh, I'll just go to a construction site and I'll get some a dimension lumber like 2x4s or whatever, that's not very good because it's usually, for one thing, never dry, and a very uneven grain, hard and soft areas, which is not that great for compressibility in a jam chuck. And if you wanted to get like the ends off the fence posts, nice and big, grain goes parallel, sounds good. But if it's treated lumber, you really don't want to be turning that because breathing the whatever they treat it with is not good. And Pete's got a great idea here. Yeah, small pieces left over from other projects. Like if you cut your blank too long, you've got a little bit left over, it's already got a tenon on it, perfect. Or if you're cutting something and you've got little bits left over, corners out of your bigger platters or bowls, yeah, very good. And here's another thing that I'm going to get into as far as I'm kind of a stickler for spelling and things. Jam chuck is spelled like William has spelled it. If you spell it Jamb, it's a door frame, not something that wedges to hold in place, force fits to hold in place. That's what the kind of jam we're talking here. Oh, or maybe we want fruit with sugar cooked up to be a little bit thick, like, for instance, raspberry. Butternut is very good. I thought maybe we would get a little bit of joke out of the jam part of it. Ash. Now, KK is finding it to be perfect for jam chucks. I would have said ash is a little bit less consistent in its density and might not compress as evenly. But, if it's working, that's great. And I like something a little softer than ash too, if I can get it. But I've been known to use whatever I could find also. All right, so speaking of jam chuck, the idea of a jam chuck, of course, is that we are going to size this little tenon here so that it jams my piece on. One thing I want is I want a flat surface here, and that's pretty good. And though I could tune that up. And now I'm also going to take now I'm using this double bevel parting tool as a negative rake scraper. I'm holding it level on the tool rest now. I'm not doing that where I contact the heel and raise the handle until I get a cut. I'm cutting with the tool held level so that I just scrape a light cut. Oh, and of course, John's going to have a joke. Butternut goes good with jam, indeed. So it's almost going on, and that's pretty good. Another cut here. And when I sharpen a tool like this, let's just deburr that corner a little bit. What I'm doing is putting it on a platform that is basically half of the included angle. Oh, that wasn't really much at all to be taking off of there. And then I want to ideally present it to the lathe with the burr from sharpening facing up. So I get a burr cut with the burr. All right, so here I am potentially trying to get myself in trouble. If I jam this on really, really well, how do I get it off? As long as there's a gap, which of course I don't want a gap, I want it flat up against the face so that it'll be true and I can face it off. If I jam it on there, I got no way to pry it off. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take it down a little bit so that, and we're going to see if that was enough. It was not. So we're going to take it down a little bit, and I could have done something clever like use a pencil, and I will if I haven't got it this time. And I haven't got it this time. So let's, what I was talking about there was I could have taken a pencil and marked here and then turn the lathe on and make a little mark. That's how far down I need to go. Okay, let's do that. Now I should have the ability to press this on fully and have it hanging over a little so I can get it back off again. But really, I don't want it to be quite that tight. So I'm going to make another cut here, just a light one. Oh, and that was actually really too much of a cut. So what do I do now? Well, I can cut it deeper. For one thing, I'm seeing that tenon wasn't too long. So let's cut down a little bit deeper and make it maybe jam a little better down in the bottom of that tenon. Oh, and Chuck's got a great idea. Yeah, double stick tape, sure. The plan that I have here, we got to go a little further down. I also wonder if I'm still flat here. The plan that I have is to use masking tape to put it on. Looks like great minds think alike, and Pete's also talking about double-sided tape. I'm sizing again, and you can see there's this very tiny bit that I'm working on. But the point is, I don't really need an incredibly tight jam fit. And yeah, Ronald's got another good idea that I use often. I will, if my jam fit's a little bit too loose, what I will often usually do is I'll take a piece of paper towel or kitchen paper, you might call it, and separate the plies and just use one ply of paper. And that would work here too, to make the jam fit tighter. I don't need it though because I've got it fitting really good down further. But what I want to do is I want to use masking tape. And I've in my last setup, I sanded the rim and I sanded the face that was exposed before I parted it off. Now I can tape this on with masking tape, and that'll hold it, hopefully hold it in place pretty well on that diameter that I made small there. And we'll get rid of most of this tape here. But the truth is, tape cuts pretty well with turning tools. And if there's a little extra, I can deal with that. And Jay, you're right. He used to work for 3M, so he knows all about having lots of masking tape. And yes, you can never have too much. It's always good insurance to use masking tape. And I'm going to put on a little more here around the actual big outside diameter because that wasn't filling me with confidence. But this is filling me with confidence. And all I really have to do in this setup is I have to clean up this face here. I'm not I'm working on the diameter. I'm not working on the inner diameter. I'm just cleaning up the face. So, oh, and Earl, here's another thing people say about adjusting your jam chuck fit is to wet the surface. The idea here is you wet the surface, the wood fibers swell up, and it makes your fit better. And I have had pretty bad luck with that over the years, because what I have found is that I spray the water on it, or you know, they talk about this as the tongue oil method, TONGUE, like use spit and that'll swell the wood fibers. But maybe it's because I live in a dry climate. But I find that, yeah, okay, it swells the wood fibers and your fit feels great. And then in a few minutes, it dries out and it's worse because the fibers have been compressed a little more. Oh, well, okay, Pete. It's true, especially if you live in a dry climate like mine. Rolls of masking tape that are, 15 years old do become unusable. All right, so that's pretty much it for making a washer. I spent more time making the jam chuck, really, and talking about jam chucks. So a little bit of sanding here, and I'm going to slow the lathe way down for the sanding. And I'm going to use this hand sander device, which is it's a little 3D printed thing you can get from turningwood.com. And I have stuck on it an interface pad. It's got Velcro, and I put this interface pad on there to give it a little bit of give, but not too much. And then we're going to put a 240 grit sanding disc on there, and this is pretty much all you got to do to sand this face with every grit you want. I generally will sand starting with 240 and down to 4,000, and then I'll put an oil finish on things. So that ought to be a washer. Another question is, how do we like the thickness of this washer? Take a look at it. Is that good, or is it a little too thick? If it was too thick, then I could reduce its diameter. Oh, what's the washer for? Great question. It's for the nut and bolt box. That I made in my last online demo, which was 2 weeks from yesterday. And this is a fun thing. I made a couple of washers, but then the one that I did in the actual class doesn't have washers. So the washers go on this one, and its hex heads are not done either. Here's the nut, and I've indexed around, and I'm going to cut the hex and sand, and the nut goes on one end. Oh, and Bob has a good point. Yeah, turn your own of that kind of hand sander, glue some Velcro on it, you've got it. Oh, my washer is still stuck to the headstock here. Because I very cleverly did put a little bit of a relief there, I've got a way to get my fingers in and pry it off. Also, I did not make the jam chuck real tight. So here we have a washer, and this is a box. So the head of the bolt is the lid of the box. TPI of this thread is, this one is 10 threads per inch. It's coarse, relatively coarse. The other box that I made in that class is a 16, which I think is, and you know what, which thread do you choose is a question. I like 16 with this scale of box. I've done a 10 threads per inch on a box this size, and I thought it just looked kind of overpowering. Although the truth is you kind of have to do a little bit too much threading there. So yeah, pretty cool box. I love that bolt box. I think it's really fun. So yeah, more nuts and bolts to come, I hope. I'm having a good time with the threading jig. And like I mentioned before, I am going to give away a couple of tickets to this video. And along with the video, you get the, let's find it again, the plans to the box, both boxes. There's a QR code in the video, but it's on the same pages as the video. What wood is the small box? That'd be this box here. This is maple burl. And this is a proof that burl can take a thread nicely. This is not a very hard burl either. It takes the thread nicely when you cut with a jig versus hand chasing. Maple burl would not be anybody's choice, really. Okay, so should washers be cross grain or end grain? Well, my feeling was that the grain of all of this, and let's refocus here. The grain of the whole project, by my feeling, is parallel to the bed of the lathe. And I chose that because, you know, if you hear people talk about threading, they'll say if you have the grain perpendicular, then the threads are stronger on half of your thread circumference because of parallel grain on two sides of it and cross grain on the other two sides. But if you have perpendicular grain, then in the changing of the seasons, it's going to shrink and expand and change with the weather in one axis, but not the other. So you've got a really good chance, no matter what kind of wood you use, no matter how dry it is, wood always breathes with the seasons, and you've got a better chance of a concentric thread remaining concentric if you're using parallel grain. And this is Pacific Madrone, which does have nice grain too. It's a little easier to work with and looks very good on camera. So Mark is asking, what threading jig did I use? I used the Chefware Kits jig, and you'll see from the video that I did a few modifications that make that jig work a little better. Salisbury Crafts, your colors. Tell us about your colors. I love color. I'm not sure what kind of colors you make, but let us know. Love to hear about it. All right, so we're getting pretty close to, in fact, I think it's time that we maybe did a giveaway of a couple of tickets to access that threading jig video. Dry wood is more likely to keep its shape. No wood is immune to seasonal changes unless you stabilize it basically with plastic. And it may be fully dry, but then in the summertime the humidity goes up and the wood changes, and then in the winter you've got it right on top of the heater and it shrinks, and the wood changes. So even though this is a small diameter and it's going to be minimal, wood can change over time, even if it is dry. But yes, dry is good. And some species change more in the two axes than others do. Like mesquite is known for tangential and radial shrinkage being very equal. So maybe the whole thing will shrink or the whole thing will expand, but you won't get that asymmetrical change. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff about that. And parallel grain could be called end grain. That's what a wood turner might say, end grain. Spindle orientation. I like parallel and perpendicular because if you say end grain, well, maybe you could interpret that different ways. And perpendicular, well, that could be depends on how it's mounted on the lathe or depends on how you have it in your project. Like if I said perpendicular grain, but I might have mounted it between centers with the grain going perpendicular. And so you'd say, oh, spindle, it's between centers, right? So I like perpendicular and parallel, but yeah, you could call that end grain. My madrone is boiled and dried, yes. And boiling is essential with madrone to keep it from changing a huge amount. And once you've boiled it and dried it, it's really cool stuff. Okay, water-based stains and paints and refillable textures and markers. Well, that's cool. Yeah, go ahead and pop your website in so we can find you somewhere. All right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to give away a couple of passes to this video. And the way this works is, let me set it up here. You're going to type in the comments hashtag BoltBox. Now you can use capitals or lowercase, either way, but no spaces. And don't forget that hashtag. Just like Paul just did. Very good. So let's all enter the raffle here, and we'll give you a few minutes. And if anyone does have a question, it might be hard for me to see with all these entries, but yeah, definitely I can answer some questions while we are waiting for everyone to get their entries in. And yeah, it can be like this. It can be like this. Hello, Michael from Slovakia, I believe you are. Great to have you here. It can be like this, here. So as long as what you have is no spaces. Very good. Oh, Jason is here. Good to see you here, Jason. Yeah, good to see everyone here. I love this. Now let's get some reconfiguration. I've got all these windows and every one of them has to have focus before I can do anything. Here's our entry, our raffle window. And when I click the draw button, it'll choose someone's name. We're going to give you all a couple more minutes to get your entries in, and then I'm going to choose 2 winners. And what I'll do is email you the link to come to find the video. And you'll see, oh, Uncle Dick, that's not a hashtag. If you're of another generation like me, that's a number sign or it's a pound sign. Hashtag's a relatively new thing, but nowadays it's called a hashtag. All right. Oh, yes, and you can do it like Marie did. All caps. Sure, that works too. We've got 118 entries, so some people are not entering because we have a lot more people than that on. Uncle Dick, you want to get your entry in the right way. Oh, and Roger Carter is here. Good to see you. Right there he is. And John, our resident comedian, that is not going to enter you in the contest. Oh, yeah, Tony. Right. I saw Valerie's comment. Yeah, you got to get the space out of there. And also don't put your name in. Just put hashtag #Bullbox. So we're going to do 2 drawings. So if you're not in the first round, you can be in the second round. And if I saw a question, I'd be stalling to answer a question, but I don't see any. So I guess we're going to go on. Oh, Pete, this is cool. Yeah, that works too. Why not? Why not? Describing the symbol. Oh, well, okay. Yeah. And some of you were already in the threading demo. So what if you win? Well, if you already have access to this video, then what I will do for you is put you on the list for my next one. So yeah, go ahead and enter. You can still win something. Ah, Don, why do I like the Steve Center tool rest? Number one, I like Steve. He's a good guy. It's got a hardened bar on the top, which is nice. I like this flat profile as opposed to some of them that have a curve. I like the fact that it's narrow in cross section because you can get close to the work. I use this light on my tool rest here, and the flat tool rest directs the light better. So just some different reasons, I guess. And the finial rest, which Mike has also, is a narrower in height, and it's got the post off to one side. Do I have it around here? Yeah, here we are. This is the finial rest. It's narrower in height, narrow in cross section. And so this allows me to get my hand around it the way I like to do for turning a finial. And I do use that for turning finials. Why my choice? I find the finial rest to be great for finials. I find it, and I don't know why, I don't find it as easy to use for regular wood turning. And it's not going to be as good to support the tool because it's thin and only supported on one end. The post is only on one end. So if you had any kind of cutting force going into your tool rest, the finial rest wouldn't be as good. And the finial rest is not for high torque operations. It's finials. We're talking spindles, delicate stuff, and all that. So if you go to SWAT, like Jason is planning to, you can find me, and also you can see all of what Steve has. And well, we've got some jokes in the comments there. So I kind of like to have both, but unless you do a lot of finials, you can do finials with the regular tool rest. And so I would buy a regular one first, and I find the 6-inch wide to be my most used size. Go ahead, everyone, and put in your comments about what you think of Steve's tool rest. Which one would you choose? What length of tool rest do you use the most? What brand of tool rest do you like the best? All right, and here we are going to make a draw. All right, so if I draw your name here, you get access to the chasing or cutting threads with a jig video. And if you've already got the access to that video, then you get entered in my next one for free. So here we go. Winner number one is I see a lot of familiar names going by. And the winner is George Duckworth. Congratulations, George. I will be sending you an email with the access since you're on StreamYard. I have your email already. That's great. That's great. And oh yes, and Steve Center makes other stuff too, most notably a captured hollowing system that is engineered to be especially good for deep boring. It's probably the best one out there for deep hollow forms. Well, don't be afraid of Texas in August. You're going to be indoors the whole time, and you better bring your down jacket because it's going to be freezing in there. And you really don't have to go outside at all if you don't feel like it, because there's a hotel and a restaurant. You just walk right through from the demo rooms, and they feed you on site and all that. The finial tool rest guy will be at SWAT, or usually he is. Yeah, Steve has lots of great stuff, and he's a really good guy. It's all made in the U.S. Spindles aren't always delicate, you're right, but in general, if I'm calling it a finial and I need a finial rest, if it's not delicate, you don't need to put your fingers around it. So there's no need for a finial rest at all. Lots of great stuff. Yes. I was trying to get that comment off of there. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So go to SWAT. Go to SWAT. It's fun. Don't be afraid of the heat. We're going to draw another winner now. So you got a couple seconds to put your name in. And here we go again. Get another winner. A lot of good familiar names going by. Good luck, everyone. Yay, Marie won this one. Congratulations. And it looks like you're on YouTube, so I might have to get you to send me your email address so that I can get you the link there. Oh, and Steve's got some stuff about SWAT. That's good. I'm going to be starting to talk about SWAT too. Oh, Jackie uses the Steve Center tool rest. All right, so let's get this out of here because the raffle is over. And let's get over here too. Very good. Very good. Yeah. Well, I remember San Fernando Valley. I used to live out there in LA, Santa Monica, Culver City, etc., and used to fly hang gliders in the valley. Yeah, it can be hot, but it's not bad when it's hot out there, just like it's not bad when it's hot here because it's pretty dry. Oh, a 5-inch square gable end finial. This sounds like an architectural element rather than a little delicate thing on top of a wood turning. Oh, what have I done? That didn't need to go there. All right. Well, I think we are going to wrap this up. And thank you all for being here. What I've done today is I made a washer for my bolt box. This one's got 2. And today we made a washer for this one that still needs a little work. Let me know what you think about how thick this washer is. Should it be thinner or whatever? We're also going to make a lock washer next. All right. So, I also had dry heat, of course. Hey, it's a dry heat. That's what they always say. And this is not really, when you talk about, it's like a joke, but it's a dry heat. It's true though. I go places where it's humid and 80 is suffocating, and I live in a place that's really dry and 100 is not bad. I also I have been to Arizona where 115 is not so bad. Waco's a little bit too humid. Oh, well, how about that? Used to work for Yushka, and if you're saying Yushka instead of Yushpa, like they changed it to, that means you were there a long time ago, like me. I never was in the organization. That's the hang gliding organization. All right. Well, good to have you here, Amy. Funny how small the world is. Okay, what I want to talk about now is, here's what we're going to do next time. I don't know if y'all remember, or maybe you weren't on because it wasn't a live stream. It was a sharing session, which is Zoom. And I had Emma Cook on. So we had Todd and me and Emma Cook, who's English or Yorkshire woman. She calls herself the Tiny Turner, and you can find her. I'm not prepared to do all that. But so Emma was in my shop live, actually in my shop, and she did some texturing in her pigments and flakes on this blank, and still got the tenon. And then Todd, who was nowhere near us, he's in Texas, a couple thousand miles away, he made a lid. And so this is a collaborative piece. And next time, 2 weeks from today, I will be shaping the bottom part. And also the lid kind of needs, I think the lid should be recessed in a little more. So I'm going to put this back in the chuck and finish it up. And then we're going to figure out what to do with the finished piece. Raffle it off, auction it off. We don't know. And yeah, thanks, KK. There's Emma, the Tiny Turner. She's on YouTube also. Really wonderful person. She's fun to be around. Reminds me of myself a lot in all the good ways. And she's an excellent turner and fabulous instructor. So if you have a chance to see Emma, definitely take advantage of it. And all right. Well, I guess that's it for me today. Yeah, Julianne was there, and a lot of the same people who are on my mailing list for this session. You're also on my mailing list, and let me put this up here. You're also on my mailing list for those Zoom sessions, the sharing sessions. So, yeah, sign up, and I will hope to see you on the next one. Bye for now, everyone. Thanks for being here.